Islam, Shalom, Hola, Aloha, Osio, Bonjour, Assalamu Alaikum. This is your brother Zach Bay, Indigenous American Moor. Do you have questions about claiming your nationality? Are you confused or hesitant on how to get started or where to get started? Resources on what to study, questions and answers, maybe even a question on where to purchase an authentic fez. Help me help you. Book your session below. Use keywords Moorish nationality. Islam, Shalom, Hola, Aloha, Bonjour, Assalamu Alaikum, Osio. This is your brother Zach Bay, Indigenous American Moor, coming to you live in full effect. Like, share, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell down below so you can be notified whenever I'm dropping new content. Leave a comment, interact with me. Thank you, I really do appreciate your viewership. Let's jump into another one. I want to pick up a little bit on not exactly where I left off before, but I was dropping hints in previous videos. I want to talk about the currency here in America, fam, and worldwide, like what's really going on. I want to title this one "Currency on the Chopping Block." Is our gold still in is our gold still in Fort Knox, fam? Do we still have gold in Fort Knox? Historically, that's supposed to be the national treasury. That's supposed to be where the nation's gold is supposed to be held, in Fort Knox. We're supposed to have all of our gold reserves there. There has been rumors lately that Fort Knox is allegedly empty. Maybe since I've heard that there hasn't been an audit there since the late 40s, 1940s, like after World War II. And also there's rumors about gold being bought in high quantities from the UK being transported to America. Now, does this have anything to do with BRICS? The BRICS coin or the BRICS dollar is going to be backed by gold, fam. It's going to be backed by gold, natural resources that's in the ground. Also, Burkina Faso, the nation, is doing big moves. I'm hearing a lot about that, and they just launched a new currency, completely getting the French colonizers out of their country, fam. The French has been colonizing plenty of countries over Africa, just like the UK, just like America, fam. So also Germany, like a lot of the European nations have been monopolizing off of the resources from Africa, fam. So now that real leaders are stepping up and they're protecting these leaders, they're not able to assassinate these leaders. Hopefully the Most High continues to protect these brave men, all right? These brave Moorish men who are really making big moves worldwide. But besides those rumors, I can't say how substantial those rumors are about gold being bought in high quantities from the UK that is causing shortages over there in gold. Now, all of that could have something to do with the BRICS coin. All of these BRICS nations starting to have gold-backed currencies, which is why people are starting to ask questions about the American gold reserves and where is our gold. So rumors about that gold are that it was taken by the Federal Reserve, the non-federal Federal Reserve, which is most likely owned by or run and operated by, families like the Rothschilds, old money, fam. And they're controlling the wealth of nations. I'm gonna play a few videos in this video here. I'm going to show a few other clips, and it's going to help drive my point home. I don't want to make this one too long. It's definitely going to be under the 30-minute mark, fam. All right, so hopefully it's compact with information that you can accurately digest. and it can really help drive my point home, get my message across, so you can understand, and understand exactly where I'm coming from, so you can help prepare yourself for the future and what could be coming down the pipeline. All right, so gold and silver prices and other precious metals have been going up, fam. If you watch those numbers by natural resources, if you keep an eye on the way the stock market is going now, they say the stock market is down. But gold prices, precious metals, silver, palladium, platinum, all those prices are going up, fam. Natural resources are steadily, constantly going up. Everybody is noticing the prices of here in America, the price of inflation is really starting to affect the prices of a lot of goods. Just, shopping for food in comparison. Let's see. There's also rumors, or it's not really rumors, it's more of a first step that Trump might put an end to the 1 cent coin here in America. Now, you notice I did not say the penny, because technically Great Britain is the only country to ever have a penny. You can look this up. Ours is actually called a 1 cent coin, all right? And it comes from like the Fujio cent, the so-called Fujio penny. The good brother Dan Calloway made a great video about mind your own business and the Fujio cent, and a lot of information about that. So I just wanted to let you know that our 1 cent denomination coin is not actually a penny. It's actually just a 1 cent. The only country that actually ever have a coin called a penny is Great Britain. So it's been about 233 years since the first 1 cent coin went into circulation. Since we started minting coins back in 1792, fam. Now, I want to make this. Now, this is my own hypothesis. What president is on the 1 cent coin? Lincoln, right? You notice the 1 cent coin was copper, as like copper colored indigenous people here. And we know how Lincoln's ancestry goes back to the Melungeon indigenous people here, right? So the indigenous people here, the American Indians, Native Americans, so-called Native Americans, like the Moors here, and their relationship with Lincoln and the way we're getting rid of the 1 cent coin. All right. And there's also rumors about the dollar. The $1 could potentially be on the chopping block next. All right, because they're saying if things can't be, if the penny is gone out of production, companies or corporations will round up to the next 5 cents, the nickel. Currently, they're saying it's costing us about 4 cents for every penny that's being minted. All right, so I guess that's the silver lining of potentially getting rid of the 1 cent so-called penny. All right, it costs us 4 cents for every 1 cent that's made. All right, so that's more on the lines of efficiency. Another thing, Canada has already stopped producing pennies since 2012. Now, I didn't even know the date of that. I didn't even know that they stopped printing pennies in 2012. I collect foreign currencies and old US currencies. So if you collect Canadian coins, make sure you collect some Canadian 1 cents, because they might be worth a little more nowadays, especially. They're talking about the price of copper. Like I said, precious metal prices are going up. So we're no longer printing our coins in actual precious metals like pennies, copper, nickels are actually nickel, dimes were actually silver, quarters were actually silver. So we don't do those anymore. We do We do metal alloy mixtures and blends to make these newer coins, right? More cheaper metals, non-precious. So copper, silver, gold, palladium, those prices are going up, and our coins are no longer backed by that. If other nations start having coins or currencies backed by gold, that is going to put the petrodollar, which is the US dollar, in a real decline. So that could be a reason why a lot of gold is being moved from the UK back over here, in order to potentially cushion against a potential audit of Fort Knox, and a closer look at the non-federal Federal Reserve. You know, that could have something to do with it. And, you know, these pieces are just falling together. Let's see. All right, so the 1 cent is almost extinct, fam. And we know that the dollar might soon come behind that. There's corporations, there's companies. I know one for sure. The company or the corporation Walmart made an article earlier, or a report earlier this year or late last year, that some of their locations or most of their locations soon will not be taking the dollar bill anymore. I'm not sure if they plan to completely like move up to like $5 denominations, or they won't give people change back in dollar bills anymore, or they simply won't accept the dollar bills in cash anymore or in coins. I know some companies, corporations actually have issues accepting dollar coins, like the Sacagawea dollar or Susan B. Anthony dollar coins. Like, some of them think that that's not real currency, or they don't want to accept it sometimes, or it could just be an issue with cashiers, right? So I'm going to show some videos and we'll be right back.
The first conspiracy I ever remember hearing, how when Nixon got us off the gold standard, he had been told that the gold had been shipped to Europe. It's official. Senator Rand Paul says a criminal investigation is being launched by Doge into the missing gold, not just at Fort Knox, but other Treasury Department vaults in New York and other areas. That's why they've been shipping it back as fast as they can the last 5 weeks ahead of Trump getting inaugurated. We've literally caught them with their pants down in the crime of the century. This will further completely devastate the deep state and legitimize, supercharge the already completely constitutionally legitimate actions of Trump, investigating these federal agencies and finding massive fraud everywhere that doesn't just save the country money, it will also bring down the deep state for the crimes they have committed. This is so historic and so critical. This isn't like some mystery movie or Goldfinger, James Bond. This is really going on. This is wild. This is historic.
Starts with gold, and I've been following the COMEX. There's something going on with gold, and nobody really knows what it is. Somebody here in the United States is buying a crap load of gold. Somebody is taking huge physical deliveries, and it's causing shortages in London, where they buy and sell gold. There's shortages now of gold because somebody is buying it and shipping it here. Somebody with very deep pockets. Okay, so why? Now, this is all theory. That's fact. Here's the theory of what's going on. They're preparing for a full-on gold audit. We talked about this yesterday. The government right now claims on its balance sheet as an asset all of this gold, and it's valued at $45 an ounce. In case you haven't heard, it's $2,900 an ounce. So they're talking now about boosting the price of gold, at least market to market, but maybe even making it $5,000 an ounce, okay? If that happens, the balance sheet starts to fall into line and our debt to GDP is not as bad as it really is.
Something big is going down on Wall Street, and they're doing their baby Jesus best to make sure we are too distracted to hear about this. Bank of England has been caught with their knickers down. Gold shortage was uncovered because the withdrawal time went from one single day to 8 weeks. That's how short they are on gold. Where did it all go? Well, it's all been shipped to New York. The question is why? They're saying because there are tariffs on gold, but President Trump never did that when he was first elected in 2016, and it hasn't happened again. So what tariffs are they speaking of? And the math is still not mathing because 393 metric tons were sent to New York. However, what was supposed to be in the Bank of England were 5,000. So someone isn't being truthful about where the gold is or why it was sent and what is happening. It means the gold that we now have in New York is more than we had in 2020. Something is coming. What do the powerful know that we don't?
Going to end production of the penny, Lydia?
You know what, Brian? Doge is certainly reigniting this debate around the penny because I'm going to call this an open secret that's been circulating in Washington for decades, that it costs more to make a penny than it's actually worth. So help me out here. I have this jar full of pennies. You can see it right here. How many pennies do you think are in this jar? Do you want to take a guess?
Well, I think there's 300 in there.
I'll take 301.
You're both wrong. It's actually 500 pennies.
No kidding.
So check my math, but that's $5 worth of pennies.
That is.
But the cost to make this jar, by today's standards, more than $18.
Huh.
Because the cost of a penny today to make it is about 3.5 cents. Why is that? It's because the cost of zinc, which is a primary component of the penny, has just escalated so much. So last year, Doge is pointing out that we spent $119 million on pennies, but we created only roughly $32 million of value circulating into the economy. So you might ask yourself, why are we still making all of these pennies? The answer is because some of our transactions in our economy are still based in cash. Think about all the small businesses that are still cashing out for that pack of gum that you want. They need a penny to give you change. But now, maybe you're like me and you just say, you know what, Madison, you keep that change. I don't need that change like jingling around in my pocket. That's what Canada is recognizing. Canada years ago actually eliminated the penny, and they made all their transactions actually round up to the nearest nickel so they could just create some efficiency there. There's some controversy about that. Some people say you're actually just costing the consumer more money by doing that. We actually need our penny. So Doge is starting this conversation around what do we do with the penny? And the really interesting part is that Congress could actually make a decision about what to do with the penny, but the Treasury Secretary could also make a decision here. So that's a good question for Scott Besson, because the cost to make a nickel too is actually higher than 5 cents. It costs about 14 cents there.
Wow, and somehow
material costs.
You got a whole...
Right. So, a lot of information in there. Hopefully you can unpack it, and like they say, eat the meat, spit out the bones, eat the flesh, spit out the bones, when it comes to fruits, the flesh of fruits, the actual meat of it, it's still called the flesh. So, I'm saying, like, you can say eat the flesh, spit out the pits, what I'm saying, if you're vegan or vegetarian or something like that, I'm talking about. But hopefully you can take what you need from it and, discard anything you don't need. And that's like one of the most important things you can do for information. Take what's important, take what's relevant, instead of, keeping everything and not knowing how to decipher it. Sometimes you need to unpack it slowly. So maybe you need to watch a video two or three times. Maybe you need to do some reading on the subject or topic, to actually help you digest it and so you can really get it. But hopefully, you can really get this information. Let's see, Congress, all right. If you don't know, historically, Congress has had the power to create money here in the United States. That's the way it's supposed to be in the Constitution, right? Congress gave up that power. They handed that power over to the non-federal Federal Reserve, all right? I have to keep saying that instead of just calling it the Federal Reserve, because people think that it's actually federal, but it's not. The non-federal Federal Reserve. All right, as federal as FedEx, as Federal Express. They hand over the powers to the Federal Reserve. All right, so these international banks create money for multiple countries all over the world. The corporations that are running these countries, to be more correct. All right, these corporations that are running these countries on the land, all right, on the natural land, they're backing them with the banks. The video of a man talking about how they want to control the currencies all over the world, and they have the power to collapse you whenever they want to keep the leaders in control. The ones that they don't control, keep them in control, to keep the population under control. All right, controlling us through this medium of finance, of money. All right. So Congress gave that power over. The way the country is going, I'm not sure if things are going to go back more toward the constitutional way of things. Hopefully so, but we'll see. Something else. All right, so the original power to print and mint money was supposed to be for Congress, but now it's being controlled by the non-federal Federal Reserve, and they're just printing. All right, they're just it's not backed by anything except so-called oil that we're getting from other nations, since we're not getting it from our nation for the most part. But we handed that power over, so now another entity has control over our finances and our wealth, just like other nations. All right, so that's putting us at a disadvantage. The last president to try to change the way the U.S. currency was majorly and remove us from the Federal Reserve System was JFK. All right, John F. Kennedy. You know exactly what happened to John F. Kennedy. The powers that be took him out, assassinated that man. All right, he was talking about secret societies, bringing things to light. They took him out of there. The president who did it before that was Abraham Lincoln, fam. Abraham Lincoln wanted to remove the power from the Federal Reserve once again, give it back to Congress, and start producing what were called greenbacks, which were real U.S. currency, fam, backed by the resources on our land and our country, fam. Lincoln wanted to do the greenbacks. So after the Emancipation Proclamation, the changing of chattel slavery into a different form of legal ownership, transforming the ownership of the chattel slaves over to the federal government. Honestly, that's what happened. But JFK and Lincoln were the last two presidents that I know of that were actually trying to change up the way we work our money here. President Donald Trump is doing something similar, fam. He's doing something similar, which is another reason why the powers that be could potentially try to take him out. I'm just looking at historical context, and I'm making my hypothesis based on what's happened in the past, which we all should be doing these things. But I just thought that's very, very interesting. The last two presidents that tried to dramatically change the U.S. currency were taken out, were assassinated. You have to be very, very wary of that. All right. That could potentially, a major change in the U.S. currency could potentially lead to something called Fed Now, or even a universal basic income, which were, you might have heard that used before, universal basic income. I know Elon Musk was talking about that. Other nations' leaders have been talking about that in these conferences. They're saying the way the world is going, the way technology is moving, artificial intelligence, more automated systems, the move from the industrial age more to the digital age. They're saying that eventually we're not going to need as many human workers, as many people doing, crunching the numbers, doing all this stuff, because it can be replaced by machinery, by robots. All right. So they're saying that people will eventually need to figure out what they want to do with their lives to be happy, to live. and to not necessarily be productive for a nation or a country to run, but to just be productive in society and a community type of thing. All right. They're saying that most likely everyone's going to need some type of universal basic income just to, be able to, just to live, just to get by. I believe that if it's transferred over into a digital form, that could be one of the major ways of control of a population, especially when it's food. All right. I spoke on one of my other videos about manufactured famine. The Fed now, which is a government-backed digital currency program that Elon Musk could be just like the forerunner for, fam. So, this is all interesting stuff that has to do with currency, original currency, the fiat currency we have now, and the way that fiat currency could be transferred into a new digital currency, fam, in order to compete with the gold-backed original currencies, So it's like, if we don't go back to the original way we were having our currency backed by gold, we'll have to go to the future, more towards something newer, I would say, and it'll be backed by maybe natural resources. If it's all digital, we'll have to wait and see. Hey, but that's all I have for you now. Hopefully this brought some new ideas to you. Maybe you learned something new. Maybe I deepened your understanding of some of these topics, fam. But let me know down below. Leave a comment, like, share this video. And once again, this is your brother Zach Bay. Peace.
The control over the world of money today is so powerful that even the most powerful states in the world are afraid that if you step out of line, they will destroy your money. They have a weapon. It's the most dangerous weapon ever created in human history, more powerful than nuclear weapons. It's called inflation. And if you step out of line, they destroy your money. Hugo Chavez, with greater courage and integrity than all of your leaders in the world of Islam, Hugo Chavez, a Christian, not a Muslim, stepped out of line and challenged him. Today, the Venezuelan bolivar is destroyed. Today, Venezuela has the highest rate of inflation in the world. And they do that to Venezuela to tell the rest of the world, you do what they did, this is what we'll do to you. And so the rest of the world have learned their lesson. So from the time you step out of line, they destroy your money. And so now we are slaves. That's where we are. We have to obey them. Because if we do not obey them, our money will be destroyed. And we'll be as poor as the Indonesian made. What? How did they do it? How did they get us to surrender money in order for them to institute a monetary system which will prohibit the use of gold and silver as money? They needed big wars, and they needed to win the war. And that is the First and Second World War. And a new monetary system came to the world after the Second World War. That monetary system has been with us since then, 1944. But I have news for you tonight. There's another war coming, and it's just around the corner. And when that war comes, they're going to finish this monetary system, and they'll bring a new one.
Is called usury. Usury is illegal. So in Christian nations, lending money for an interest rate was illegal. So because it was illegal for the Christians, who did the lending? The Jews. So there was Christians who could lend for 0% or didn't lend at all. And then these people called the Jews would come over and start lending money. They would start charging money, and in a couple generations, guess what would happen to the economy? The Jews owned everything, and then guess what the king did? Rounded them up and threw them out of the country. Then they go to the next country, and what would they do? Same thing, and what would that king do? Round them up, kick them out of the country. This went on for thousands of years. This is why the Jews in history have had no country, because the king would have, they would say no usury, no money lending, and they would start the money lending, they would start the central bank to compete with the king would kick them out. They go to the next country, do it again. So this has happened over and over and over again, because this quote right here from Napoleon, he would show the compound interest tables, and he said in a very short amount of time, compound interest would eat up every piece of property in France. In fact, I'm going to show you how powerful compound interest is. Very scary thing. There's a reason why it was illegal. illegal, illegal, illegal in the Christian nations and the Christian.
In black films, money isn't just paper, it's survival. Rashad and ATL spent 3 years saving just $2,000. Craig and Smokey and Friday almost got killed over $200. In these stories, money isn't just hard to get, it's the difference between making it or not. Rashad had a full-time job but only saved about $55 a month. Taking care of Aunt, paying bills, there was nothing left. Hindsight is 2020, but Rashad probably snatched that chain because he really needed the money. Because I would have been tight too if I had a rich girlfriend from an affluent suburb of Atlanta. Like, come on, I'm living in the basement. Even after 3 years, $2,000 wasn't enough to escape his situation. And it really makes you wonder, like, how many people go to work every single day and feel like, yo, I cannot escape this situation? Smokey owed Big Worm $200, a small debt but deadly if you don't have it. Craig had no job, no income, no way to help, but the pressure was real. When being broke means you can't afford mistakes, the smallest debt becomes dangerous. In low-income communities, saving is nearly impossible. Every dollar is already spent. One bad decision, one bad emergency, one missed payment, and you're in debt. The struggle in ATL and Friday is real. Money isn't about comfort, it's about survival. And like Quiet as Kept, because of movies like Friday and ATL, we saw how hard money saving really is. And we saw how even the smallest debt can become deadly. And the harsh realities of how people live paycheck to paycheck with no way out.
My fellow Americans, I need you to understand something. The economy is not broken. It is not failing. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Keep you struggling. Inflation is not an accident. Stagnant wages are not an accident. The rising costs of living, the housing crisis, the endless debt, none of this is happening by mistake. It is all engineered. Because the moment you are financially free, they lose control over you forever. The moment you stop living paycheck to paycheck, the moment you stop needing to work 50 hours a week just to survive, the moment you stop relying on credit cards and loans and government assistance, that is the moment you are no longer a slave to the system. And that is why everything is designed to keep you just comfortable enough to keep you going, but never free enough to actually escape. They want you drowning in rent. They want you drowning in mortgage payments while billionaires and landlords own entire blocks of property. They want food prices skyrocketing while corporations record and rake in record profits. They want gas prices up, interest rates up, medical bills up, everything up except your wages, because the more desperate you are, the easier you are to control. And the worst part, they convince you that this is normal, that this is just how the world works, that struggling is just a part of life. It's not. It is a system created to ensure that the rich stay rich and the workers keep working. And that is exactly why the People's Union USA exists, because we are done accepting this. We are done being slaves to an economy that was never built for us. We are taking back control. That is why we are starting with the 24-hour economic blackout on February 28th. This is the first step in proving that we have the power to disrupt their system. This is how we remind them that without our labor, without our spending, without us, they are nothing. So what you need to do is commit to the blackout on February 28th. Visit thepeoplesunionusa.com and sign up for the newsletter. Drop a yes in the comment section if you're ready to take action, and share this video, because the more of us there are, the stronger we become. They need you struggling. They need you desperate. But when we stand together, we break the system they built to keep us down, my friends. And that's a fact.